All right, we are live with another live stream for HAPA month, and today we have Ian Miles Cheong. He is working with Andy Worski now. Have a YouTube channel called Hype Break. I can't talk. Sorry, Hype Break. You just told
you got HAPA on your mind. You got HAPA on your mind.
True. Yeah, I have HAPA. But yeah, so we're happy to have you on again. We had you on
a couple months ago, right?
Yeah, a few months ago. So thanks for joining us again.
Happy to be on. Happy to be on. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem.
So we're gonna start with what everybody may not know, but it's like the most basic question ever. What's your ethnic mix?
My ethnic mix is interesting, but it is mostly, I'd say 50%, or maybe like 30% Chinese, 20% Thai, and 50% Portuguese.
Yeah, that is a pretty interesting mix.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Even the 50% Portuguese is not completely correct because I don't really know what my mom's full ethnic mix is, but it's she's got some Chinese there as well, so it's very interesting. Yeah.
So does that mean that your parents are also like mixed race too?
My mom is mixed race. Yeah, my mom is Eurasian, right? Portuguese Eurasian. My dad is I would say he's mostly Chinese, but there is a bit of Thai in there.
He's got everything, not everything.
I know, that's like really mixed.
Yeah, pretty eclectic.
Yeah.
So how did your parents meet?
At a local party. Yeah, like a tombola. I don't know what the term for that is in English. I think that might be an English term. I'm not sure, but it's like a shoot. What do you call it? A potluck. Yeah, a potluck.
Okay.
Yeah. He was in the military, and my mom's obviously not. She's a housewife, but
how dare you?
There's housewives get a lot of shit on these days, thanks to the feminist movement, right?
Yeah.
You can't be raising a kid, or you can't be raising kids or family without being disrespected by other women who say that you're contributing to patriarchy. I mean, where did feminism go wrong? Seriously.
I don't know. I mean, it's a good concept, but it's just completely gone off the rails.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They take it too far.
Yeah.
It's like
too far.
If you say you want to be a housewife and they're like, what? Why don't you do anything with your life? You could be something great, It's like, oh, thanks. I'm just raising the next generation.
I'm taking care of the house. I'm taking care of the kids, whenever they have any. All that.
Yeah, and not to knock on single moms, because I mean single moms do a very, very difficult job. But the feminists saying this, they don't intend to raise any kids, do they? And the ones who do, they probably neglect their kids. I'm just putting that out there. I mean, why do you think the current generation's also screwed up? It's because, everyone in the previous generation, I suppose, the 90s, had kids in the 90s. They were all like hopped up on this whole empowerment thing. And then they just kind of forgot about their kids. They just turned them into latchkey kids. Both mom and dad, in some, in the cases where they have both parents, are working. And so the kid is just at home watching TV, right? That is why our current generation is so fucked.
So in Asia, is that also like prominent? Like
no.
Or is the family structure still kind of?
It's still intact. It's still intact. I mean, there are like more modern families that don't even have kids, which is just it's normal in a metropolitan or cosmopolitan society, right? And much of Asia is becoming like that. But I would say that for the most part, and when I say most part, I don't mean like 51%. I mean like 99%. Of people believe in traditional values, or at least in having families and raising kids together, mom and dad. If any of them are working, it's they will take turns delegating the child rearing. So things are pretty good here.
That's good. So you must be watching from afar, like, wow, just watching.
Oh yeah,
go wrong, because like
yeah, and I'm sorry, you go first.
I was going to say, I guess feminism hasn't really infiltrated yet.
I would say feminism exists over here, but in a way that I can support it. In a way that's like, okay, so you have women who are moms, who are stay-at-home moms, and they're raising their kids, and they're celebrated. And that is feminism to women over here. It's okay to raise kids. You should be proud to be a mother. And, I know many proud moms, people my age or people older or even slightly younger than me have kids, and they're proud to be women. And many of them are successful in the workplace. Some of them are, 100% workplace, no kids. But you know what? Good for them. What they do is they build a nest egg. They will work until they're like, maybe 40, and then they decide, okay, one of us has to stay at home to raise kids. And that's what they do. They still understand that it's important to delegate these things. You can't just be all, oh, I'm only here for myself. No, you're here for your family, right? So if you're a mom and you decide to become a mom, I'm not saying that you should be, but if you want to raise a kid with your husband, then maybe do it when you are able to do so. Like a lot of Chinese families over here, where I live in Singapore, in Malaysia, Thailand, all these places, women will work, right? They will get high-powered jobs. They will become CEOs and everything. And then they'll decide, I'm going to take some time off of work. I'm going to raise a kid. And that's perfectly normal for them. It's normal to think about your child's long-term future because they want to send their kids to Harvard. And, well, unfortunately, we know what goes on in Harvard, right? Asians not allowed in because they're Asian. Yeah. That's a thing that's happening.
I know it must be weird, like seeing that from your perspective since you live in Asia. And actually, I also wanted to, like, a couple people have asked. So you live in Malaysia, right?
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay. Do you live in KL or somewhere, or like in the
pretty close to KL? Pretty close to KL. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Have you lived in Asia your whole life, or have you also lived in the West?
I've lived in Asia my whole life, unless you count a vacation to the United States, which I don't. But I love it when people on Twitter say that Ian has never even been to America. Well, that's not true. I have been to America.
What part did you visit?
San Francisco. Back when it was cleaner, I would say cleaner. But there were, oh my God, there was so many homeless people there.
That's not surprising. I was going to say before all the shit and all the needles were on the ground and all that stuff.
Yeah, before that, before there were needles on the ground, before there was like 5,000 or 7,500 homeless people registered to live in San Francisco, right? That's the current numbers. That's a lot of people, and like millions and millions and millions of dollars going to pay for these guys, and no one knows where the money's going because they're not getting the money. They're still homeless. Fun thing about San Francisco, back when I was there, it was Market District. That was where I was living, right? The Ritz over there. Pretty nice place, but then you'd see a homeless guy accosting people on the street all the time.
Wow, it's probably like 10 times worse now.
Yeah, it probably is. You can thank the Democrats for that, and Moonbeam and all those other weirdos.
I saw like there was an article that came out recently about San Francisco, and it was like saying that now they're going to impose they're proposing a new tax to the people who are working there to help pay for the homeless and like try to clean up the streets. I'm like, how is that going to help? Because that's just going to make more people not be able to afford rent, and then
yeah, it's more money out of their pocket, basically.
People either move out of San Francisco or become homeless.
Yeah, they go to Austin and Houston.
Oh, great.
Yeah, great. I know. Yeah, you're gonna get all those little blue. They want to turn this whole place blue, right? They want to turn Texas blue. Yeah, you got a lot of those guys hitting into Texas now.
This has nothing to do with like HAPA month stuff, but have you seen those crazy like the bait? How do you say his name? Beto,
yeah.
Beto is like everywhere, and they keep texting me too. I'm like, just stop. It's everywhere.
Yeah, he's terrible. He's cringy. Did you see his latest ad, by the way? It's like, this is why you'll lose. I watch it and it's like, yeah, this is why you're gonna lose. You're pandering to hipsters. What the hell are you doing?
I don't know.
Do you think most Texans are hipsters? Come on, get out of here.
That's just Austin and maybe parts of Houston. I don't know. Yeah. But I mean, he rode a skateboard, so that makes him cool.
How are you doing, fellow kids?
Yeah, that meme. That's every time I see that's all I think about.
He's such a dorky looking guy too. Like, he can't pull it off. He could pull it off if he pulled off a Napoleon Dynamite. He could do the Napoleon Dynamite because he looks like Napoleon Dynamite with the tan.
He does.
That's funny.
He looks like a better looking Napoleon Dynamite.
Slightly, marginally. And have you seen how the actual Napoleon Dynamite actor looks? He's handsome. All right.
Oh, really?
He's hot.
No.
Yeah.
I've never actually seen like interviews or like when he's not in character. So I guess
he doesn't look like a dope.
Yeah, he looks like a normal guy. He's just a normal guy you can be friends with. You can have a beer with him or whatever. Yeah, he's a normal dude. But Beto O'Rourke is Napoleon Dynamite writ large. He's an actual person.
It's weird that his name is Beto, but his real
It's
name,
not actually Beto. Yeah,
his real name is Robert.
Yeah, he
I
wants to.
His name was actually okay. I thought that was his last name, and then I saw that that's not his last name, and I was like,
He's Irish as hell. He's trying to pander to the Hispanic community by going with Beto, you know? Because it's like it's a Hispanic name. So it's like, hey, vote for me. I'm one of you. No, you're not. You're not even remotely Hispanic. You're
he looks
Irish.
super white.
It's so funny.
Like if you look at him and his family, he looks super.
Yeah.
White. I mean, he looks like a nice family, but his I don't know, all those like videos coming out of like people like dancing and singing. I'm like, what is this? The kids can't even vote. Why are you pandering to children?
And this is why they want to lower the voting age to 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
No, it's absolutely not a good idea. I mean, these guys are doing Fortnite dances, and you want them to vote, really?
It's funny about here how we have two people who are running for senator. Well, Ted Cruz, I guess, is already senator, but he's running again.
Yeah.
But we have two people who are running on names that aren't actually their names. So like Ted and Beto, those aren't.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Wait,
what's Ted's real name?
I know it's not Ted, but I'm gonna cheat and look it up. But
it's Rafael Edward Cruz. So he's even more of Hispanic. I mean, obviously he is Hispanic, right? He's Cuban.
Hello, my name is Ted, but it's not actually Ted.
It's Rafael.
Yeah, it's
What's wrong with Rafael? Huh?
Nothing. Nothing's wrong with Rafael. I like the name Rafael Cruz. It's a nicer name than Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is more American.
Like, why would he pick Ted then?
I don't know. He's a
turtle. Sounds like I don't know.
He's a turtle in a half shell.
I used to not like Rafael Cruz. I used to think, what a schmuck, going up against Trump and, being Lion Ted Cruz. But now lately it's Beto and his, the DSA people harassing Ted Cruz. They made me completely sympathetic toward him, and when he goes on stage and he speaks his speech, I respect him. I respect Ted Cruz. This is a guy who basically turned Texas into an economic powerhouse. How could you not vote for him? I'm not even Texan, and I'm saying that because that's what I see. That's what all my Texan friends are saying about him. They like the guy, even though he's unlikable. They like the guy because he knows what he's doing.
Hey, I mean, you don't have to be a likable guy to, get the job.
No, you don't.
Those.
But is Trump really a likable guy either?
He did play basketball with Jimmy Kimmel, so there's that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that beats the skateboard?
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
He actually won, too. He actually beat Jimmy Kimmel. Game to 5 that took apparently like hours to get. Yeah, because
right,
he knows how to play it. Yeah, he knows how to play the game.
Yeah.
Okay, this is like
talk about HAPA stuff.
I was gonna say this is like totally like off topic of what we were,
it's relevant.
No, I mean like what we were just talking about.
Right.
So you talk a lot about like Western politics, and I was just wondering, do you also keep up with like Asian politics or like local politics where you live?
Local politics is extremely depressing because a lot of corruption goes on, and fortunately we kicked out our former prime minister. He was embezzling funds, possibly, allegedly embezzling funds. He's being charged with it. Maybe going to see jail time. Probably going to see jail time, right? Doing all sorts of skeevy stuff. And the reason why I haven't really spoken up about that is because you can get into trouble for talking about it, at least back when the guy was in power. Now, not so much. So I'm more willing to be, to be open about the politics here. But things are definitely changing for the better over here locally. But I do keep up to date with Asian politics because I think China's a deadly threat to the rest of, civilization. They are muscling in on all the smaller countries, and Southeast Asia in particular is vulnerable, right? And the only thing stopping China from doing a full-scale invasion, whether it's economic or military-wise, is America. So you got to keep. I follow the threat, and it goes straight to America. America's keeping China in line, thanks to some good leadership in the military over there. So respect the troops. It's a silliest way to distill a very complicated situation, but it appalls me when I see Democrats in particular being pro-China because Trump isn't pro-China. Trump is like the only guy in the world who's willing to stand up to Jiang or whatever that guy's name is, so the president of China. He's the only guy willing to stand up to him and say, "Hey, put your foot down on North Korea, or we're gonna screw you over in the trade deals." And China capitulates because when you hit China where it hurts, that's the money, right?
Yeah.
You go with that, and boom, they just fold.
Well, yeah, I mean that's pretty much most of their economy, right?
Yeah, yeah. And their economy is a bubble. Their economy is basically a bubble because they don't really have the per capita. Their people can't really afford anything. The only reason why their people can afford anything is because things are cheap. But they're propping up their economy. It's all fake. It's like a bubble where they just keep building empty buildings. There's a city in China. I forget what the name is. You can look it up. There's documentaries on this. It is a replica. It's a perfect replica of Paris. But the only people living there are laborers, people who are not rich, right? Poor people are living in this replica of Paris because this is what China does with all its money. They get a lot of foreign investment and so on, and then they build replica cities, and that props up their economy because it lets them take that money that they're getting from outside investments and so on, and put it into the local economy. It's a pretty smart thing to do, but it's a gambit, right? Because at any moment it could all fall apart, and then China's going to be broke as hell. And a lot of economists have been predicting that China's going to be broke as hell in 2012, in 2013, 2014, and the year just keeps going, up and up and up. And I don't think they're ever going to reach that point where they are broke because I think China knows what it's doing with its economy, but they realize there's a lifespan on it. So. And this lifespan, they can only keep doing this until they get the proper natural resources, because China doesn't really have a lot of natural resources. They have a lot of rare earth. That's it, right? But they need oil. So that's why they're muscling into Southeast Asia. And this is boring, and I know it's dry as hell, but this is why we might see a war between China and Vietnam over their oil rights in the ocean. So that's something to look out for.
Is that where the oil is all in Southeast Asia? Is that?
Yeah, like Malaysia has oil deposits. Yeah, we got oil deposits. So we don't even import from Saudi Arabia. We just use our own.
Okay.
It's cheap as hell. Yeah, it's cheap as hell.
Yeah.
I could see how that could be a problem because I know that with there a lot of people now have cars there. So and there's tons of people there. So now it's going to become a thing.
Every family has 2 cars. I mean, I've got a car. My mom and dad have a car. And we're like a family, so it's 2 cars. Yeah, like my neighbors. One of my neighbors, he's got like 5 cars. These
wow.
cars. Yeah, and cars are expensive. Like we pay 100% tax on cars, by the way. Not like you guys. When you buy let's say you buy I don't know, like a Dodge or something, it's going to be like $30,000 or something, right? It's not too much. If I buy it, it's going to cost like maybe $65,000 for that same car. Yeah. It doesn't even matter if it's from Japan or if it's from America or or from Europe. I'm paying more. I'm paying more for it, but people can still afford it. You have to afford a car if you want to drive around here. This is, I saw this one tweet, and it was a really dumb tweet from this guy named Matt Myers, #Myers Twitter. Perfectly round head. Shout out to my boys there. Yeah, this dude, he claimed that there's no way I own a car because his understanding of Southeast Asia or Malaysia was that we didn't need cars to get around. We have powerful, transit systems like public transport. No, we don't. My city, slightly outside of KL, the transport system is terrible. And even in KL, there's a train, but you still need a car to get around. There are just places you just can't go to without one.
Yeah, when I was I lived in Thailand for like a couple months back when I was younger. But when I was there, like everybody either had a car or like a motorcycle because, well, at least in the smaller towns, like the public transit was not good. Only in Bangkok it was good.
Yeah, it's like non-existent outside of it. And you do want to get outside of, Kuala Lumpur. You can't just be staying in the small city. Well, it's a small-ish city the whole time. And, like the outskirts of it, the suburbs. It's a very big, sprawling city, I should say. The metropolitan area is small. But you're not just going to the metropolitan area, right? You're driving around. You have to go to work. So, yeah, you do need a car.
Yeah, that makes sense. So,
and thankfully, oil is cheap. So, whatever cost we pay for the vehicle is offset by the fact that gas is cheap.
How much does gas usually go for over there?
How much is it over there in America, or at least in Texas, where you live?
Where we live, it's
And-
about 250.
And that's considered cheap.
Yeah.
$2.50 a gallon.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's about 220. Yeah,
Dang. That's really
yeah, it's cheap.
Yeah, that
pretty
is
good.
really good.
It's so weird though seeing pictures from 5 years ago where you see like $1.50 or something. You're like, oh, those were the days.
Oh yeah.
You know, and then and I remember everyone was freaking out about how when gas was going up to $3 a gallon, everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's like this is the world's gonna end," and now it's basically just normal. $3 a gallon.
Yeah.
Remember peak oil? Remember when that was a thing? Everyone was worried about peak oil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why isn't anyone worrying about that anymore? Did it just go away? Did peak oil just go away? I thought oil was going to end, and that was going to be the end of the world. It's going to be all Fallout style, where we go to war with China over oil.
Well, it's not as sexy as horse face, so.
I guess not.
So kind of going along with the theme of big issues over there, what are some other big issues that are happening in Asia that that people would be interested in knowing about?
I would say the two internet policy in China is a thing. That's a thing that I think a lot, like over here no one cares about it, and I think in America zero people care about it except for like some infosec people, right? But China is basically partitioned the internet. It's created its own internet that's separate from everyone else, right?
Oh.
And yeah, because of free speech, they don't have it. They don't have free speech, and so I've seen some articles saying that there's going to be an internet for Asia where it's just China and all the other Asian countries, and then there's going to be the West. Well, that's bullshit. Whoever wrote that obviously has no idea what they're talking about, because China, here's a fun fact for people who play video games. When you play an online game, say an FPS, and Blizzard games in particular, Activision, there are all these regions, right? You have the European region, the American region, South America, and Asia, right? And guess where Japan and Southeast Asia fall into? We don't fall into the Asian region, okay? We fall into the American region because we're not part of Chinese internet.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the future, assuming that Article 13 thing happens, in Europe, that big censorship thing, it's going to be split into three internets, I think. You're going to have the European Union internet, and then you're going to have the rest of the world, and then you're going to have China. That's how it's going to work. It's
So
not.
basically, they're going to, I don't know, quarantine those areas of the earth, I guess, into those internets, and then everyone else.
Yeah,
Sounds like
quarantine. Yeah, a quarantine or a what do you call it? The balkanization of the internet. That's what's going to happen. And China's already balkanized itself because in order to maintain its power, its control over information and the flow of information in China, they're preventing people from seeing outside internet, right? You can't search about the Tiananmen Square, for example. And for people to homogenize Asia and say, oh, all of Asia is going to be part of this Chinese internet, fuck no. We value our free speech. We value our freedom of religion. Over here where I live, Singapore, Malaysia, people can be whatever religion they want, right? You're not forced to be an atheist, a goddamn atheist. Tips fedora, milady, right? And that's China. China doesn't like religion at all. It bans religion. It's illegal over there. If you are a religious person, you will be sent to a re-education camp. Do you think anyone in Asia wants to be part of that? I don't think so.
Yeah, I have heard stories about that. And I know someone in the chat mentioned that, is it true that Islam is very big in Malaysia? I don't really know a lot about.
It is true, yeah, but not the radical brand of Islam you see being imported to Europe. In Europe has a problem with Islam, in that their version of it is coming from a very extreme minority of individuals from places like Pakistan, places like Syria, where religion is extremely, extremely radical, right? Over here, not so much. I mean, if you go to Indonesia, I don't know if you've been to Indonesia, and I used to have a wrong perception of Indonesia for the longest time, but some Indonesian friends of mine have educated myself on this, and yes, they're still very bigoted towards LGBTQ people, but there are Chinese shops that sell pork, right? And you know, pork is haram; it's illegal, right, for Muslims to eat. But they totally allow that in all these Muslim countries, at least in Southeast Asia. And the picture that changed my mind was a picture of a Chinese shop advertising proudly that they only sell haram food in there.
Huh.
Yeah, like, come in here, it's haram, you know. And it's like Muslims, you know, you're not supposed to eat here. So it's like their version of our version of multiculturalism. It's not like in America where it's all forced and it's a melting pot. This is more like a salad bowl, you know. So you don't lose your identity. Every culture over here, whether you're Indian, whether you're Thai, whether you're Chinese or Malay. Malays are mostly Muslims, but regardless of what you are, you know, you can celebrate your holidays with other people, but that's the thing, you are celebrating your culture. People are all about that culture here. They're all about that tradition. So, you know, if I'm Chinese, for example, so I'll celebrate Chinese New Year. I'll host a Chinese party, a very Chinese themed party, you know, and it's not like in America where everyone's just everybody's doing everything, right? This is more like, you respect that tradition there. You respect it here. I mean,
So is it similar to here in the fact that, well, at least in America, actually I've seen it in Canada too, but like a lot of people who are like either a certain religion or like a certain like ethnicity will like kind of group together and make their own little communities. Is it similar to that in
it's
your
similar
country?
to that. Yeah, absolutely. But there's more integration beyond that, of course. You know, we're not going to have, it's not going to be like the UK where there's no-go zones. In fact, fun fact, there is a no-go zone where I live in Malaysia, and it's populated almost entirely with Pakistanis who are immigrants, who are new immigrants. And no one wants to go there because, you know, crime is pretty damn high over there. Not safe for Chinese people, not safe for Malays. You'll probably get assaulted. Fun fact. Yeah. So we need to get rid of that. You know, like, I'm not for that open border stuff. That's terrible. And Singapore, I think, has a much better policy of immigration than any other country in Southeast Asia, my own country included, because they don't allow low-skilled workers to become permanent residents. If they apply, good fucking luck. Not gonna get it. You need to have certain skills. You need to have certain level of education. Like, they want Malaysians to work there, and they want Malaysians to become residents. You know, like, I can go to Singapore right now, apply for citizenship, probably get one in 1 year. That's how it is, because I have the education, I have the background that they need. But if, let's say, I was from some dirt poor country in Bangladesh, right? I was from Bangladesh, and I went there, I wouldn't get it, because they don't want, you know, they know that 99% of the people from these countries are not going to be able to integrate. These are people who, and this is going to make me sound so racist, but it's so true. They come to our countries, right? Our bustling countries, are very much metropolitan countries, and they'll go to a toilet and they will squat on a sink and shit in it because they don't know how toilets work. Yeah, I walked into a toilet the other day, right? Fortunately, there was nobody there sitting on the sink, but there was poop in the sink. And
that sounds great.
I muttered to myself, like, fuck, man, like, these fucking immigrants. That's what I thought, you know? It made me irritated. It's like, okay, you know, this is what's happening. This is what's happening when you let all these people in. You can't do that.
Yeah, and I feel like Singapore, like, just from what I've heard and what I've like talked to people who live in Singapore, it seems like their laws are really strict in general, so that kind of makes sense because they know that people want to live there.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's a beautiful place.
They can be selective about it. So.
Yep, and I loved living there. I lived there for a few years. Right, best place in the world. Yes, it's totalitarian, but I'll take it. I'll take it.
It's hilarious because I'm like pretty libertarian, almost like anarcho-capitalist. But then when I look at Singapore, I'm like, but I would totally live there because it's so nice.
Anybody would. Yeah, anybody would. You know, so when I was there was, you know, obviously young people always talking, you know, they're all acting like Antifa. You know, they're like, I hate the government. The government needs to fall. We need more freedom. And they'll all talk in Singapore. All the young people will say that, but they'll never do anything about it. They will never act on it because they realize they like their iPhones. They like their Starbucks macchiatos, right? They don't want to give up their way of life. And you know what? Who can blame them? So they talk and they get mad at the government. Oh, the government censored this or this or this. But do they do anything about it? No, because they realize in the long run, well, I'd like living here. It's a nicer place to live than anywhere else. Why the hell would I give it up?
Okay, tell me your opinion on this, because I have like a theory here.
Uh-oh.
I think it what? I think it works for them because they're such a small country. So they can have those kind of like authoritarian government, and it works because everyone kind of agrees on it.
It's fair too. Keep in mind, this is not the government imposing itself on a populace that's powerless. You can vote. You can kick people out. It is a democracy. It's just that people always vote the same party because they like it. In Singapore, the government is hard on the government itself. If you're a government employee and they find out that you are terrible at your job, they will fire you instantly. They treat it like a corporation, and not a bad one, but a good one, right? There are government-funded, like the Metropolitan Service, like the train service, is funded almost entirely by the government, but it's also a corporation. They have to make, they have like quarterlies and everything. They have earnings reports and everything like that. And so when they are late on time, they will get fined by the government. Like if the train is too late, like like 2 minutes late, they get a fine for that. So it's up to them to basically make sure that the trains are always running on time.
Seems like accountability over there is extremely high, unlike here where,
I know. I feel like here it's like they just hire people based on diversity quote. Okay, I've experienced this in real life, like going to government offices and dealing with immigration and stuff. And like, they just hire people for, I guess, either diversity quotas or something, because people can just do whatever they want. Like I was in an interview once for like something that had to do with government, and someone just pulled out their back scratcher in the middle of the interview, and they're like, "Excuse me," and I'm like, "It's supposed to be a professional office." Okay,
that's like some guy was like, "Yeah, hold on, let me just scratch my balls for a minute. Hold on a second."
This whole culture of accountability comes from China, right? China before it became communist, right? If you go to Taiwan or Hong Kong, same thing. 100% accountability. They believe in accountability because it's that British culture plus Chinese culture before it got raped and destroyed by the communist government. You combine these two things and it's all about being hardworking. It's like Scandinavians, right? Scandinavians have the exact same policies. They all believe in accountability. Before, like Sweden now has like an immigration problem, but before then, it's all about accountability. Everyone does their job. They're 100% efficient, or at least close to 100%. They want to do that because they take pride in it. And Chinese people are the same way, at least, in original Chinese culture. So you'll see the same thing, like I said, in Taiwan, Singapore, pretty much run the same way. But then you go to China and it's not like that at all, because they had the so-called Cultural Revolution, where they burned all the books, they destroyed all the tools and utensils and the implements that you need to write, right? They destroyed all of that, they melted it down, and guess what? China went to shit, right? For the longest time, it went to shit. And now they're trying to bring back that culture of accountability. But China's still fucked. It's going to be 50 years before they repair themselves. Thanks to Mao, it's going to be like that. But yeah, it comes from that old culture of being accountable for what you do.
Speaking of China again, it seems like, and we've talked to a couple people about this, capitalism still creeps into a lot of their, like, how it runs now, like the night markets and everything. So I feel like that type of thing is going to help them.
Absolutely. Yeah. It used to be illegal, right? It used to be illegal, but now you kind of realize, okay, we can't do 100% socialist here. People do own companies, except that the government owns like 30% of it. That's how it works over there. So there's a lot of corruption in China, right? If you are let's say you're a mayor or something, or you're one of the, I don't know what the terms are for these people who are in government, who are controlling a certain district, but those guys get paid off. And that's why it's so corrupt. Because it's all, central planning, right? It's a communist thing. They all do the central planning thing. It's so open to corruption because people are basically paid to sit on their ass and do nothing and just, sign papers and saying, yeah, I agree you can work in this area, or yeah, I agree you can open a business here. So these people are easy to corrupt. very easy to corrupt. You don't have that in places like Singapore, where the government doesn't do that, right? If it funds something, there will be full accountability of everything, and you are free to open a business. The tax rates are very insanely low over there for corporations. So you see a lot of foreign companies moving in, wanting to open a business in Singapore, to operate their multinational right out of Singapore, because they know that if they're in Singapore, they're going to be 100% not corrupt. They're going to be clean.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people, if there is corruption, they seem to call it out. So
yeah, they call it out. They do it all the time in Singapore, yeah. And by the way, if you do something like you commit a petty crime in Singapore, or if you even litter, right? You throw a bunch of cigarette butts on the floor, on the street. You're not supposed to do that. There are trash cans. You can do it there. You do that, they will put you on TV. They'll make you wear a stupid outfit, and then you'll be like, "I littered. I'm a disgusting person." And then
really
on TV, yeah, on TV, yeah.
Jeez, they publicly humiliate you. Okay,
and it works. Because, I mean, look, you come from a prestigious family. Let's say it's usually like the richer people who do that, like the rich kids. It's going to be so shameful. Your mom and your dad and your uncles and your whole school sees you being the scumbag, right? So there's incentive to behave. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, because if they know that that's going to happen, then, they don't want to. Yeah. I couldn't imagine knowing if you did that was your punishment. Like, oh, great. That's going to be with you for the rest of your life. You're the guy on TV that got humiliated.
Yep, that's right. And that one kid, that American who went there and he spray painted some places, he made a fucking mess of things, right? He was a vandal. They whipped him, right?
Oh my
They caned him, sorry. Yeah, they caned him. Yeah. It was in the 90s, I think. Beautiful.
Jeez.
Yeah. Makes me sound like a bad person, but hey, guess what? People stopped doing that. You can't be a tourist and you go to Singapore and then you spit on the sidewalk. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out. I still say we because I love Singapore. We do our best to keep this place clean and tidy and make it presentable to ourselves so that we have peace of mind, and to other people who are coming in. And you make a mess of things, get the hell out of here. You always see that, by the way. Like the crimes committed in Singapore are always by either immigrants, like the Pakistani workers who work there, or by tourists. Like there's this one video that went viral in 2008 where these two, I think British tourists, they were chewing out a guy, like one of those, the rickshaw drivers, they pull you in a cart, right? Literally pull you.
Right.
They were chewing him out because he wasn't running fast enough, and everybody got offended. Those guys got deported, by the way.
Really?
Not surprised.
Yeah. Disgusting, man. Like these white people, they in the West, they're like, I'm a feminist. I'm a male feminist. I'm an ally to LGBTQ people. I'm a good person. I donate to homeless shelters. But then they go to a foreign country and they shit on the locals. Guess why we hate tourists, right? Because of people like that.
Yeah, I feel bad every time. It's like, oh, you're giving us all a bad name. That's why they say like Americans whenever they go to. Well, I mean, I know you're talking about other country, but like Americans in general, whenever they go to other countries, they expect them to
be like Americans,
to cater to them,
and
like it's like embarrassing.
Yeah,
it is embarrassing. And I have a lot of American friends who've come here to Malaysia. Had one stay with me. They also hate those other tourists because they're scumbags, right?
Yeah, it makes us all look bad. It's like, thanks.
Yeah. China has the same problem, by the way, because China has so much money. It is awash in money right now. So you have a lot of newly rich people, with people no class, no etiquette. They will go to foreign countries and they will do that thing. They'll treat the locals like shit because they have money. China instituted a policy, wasn't very recent, but it was recent enough I can talk about it, where they are now going to publicly shame any Chinese tourist who makes a fool out of themselves in a foreign country. Yeah,
maybe they'll
learn
work.
from Singapore. Yeah, I'm hoping it does because Chinese still care about that face. They care about saving face. So,
kind of makes you wonder what happens to the North Korean athletes when they lose and they embarrass the country.
Oh, they get hanged.
Well, that's a different story, but okay.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, with all the peace talks happening, hopefully that won't happen anymore.
Yeah, hopefully, that needs to be one of those stipulations that if you send your athletes to a foreign country and they're representing you and they fail, you are not going to kill them. Okay, you are not going to put them in a death camp because they fucked up.
Yep. You got a bronze, not good enough. Chop your head off.
Terrible.
Or shoot you with an AA gun, because that's what they do. Or feed you to the dogs. They do that. They'll feed you to a bunch of starving dogs. That's what Kim Jong-un did to his uncle who betrayed him. Fed him to the dogs. Another one got shot, got blasted by an AA gun. Nothing left of him. Didn't even get a burial.
That's really barbaric.
Oh, yeah. It's medieval. That's what communism does to people, right? It makes people medieval. It reduces people to their primal state, and not in a good way.
That's why I just don't understand the resurgence of, like, I guess young people around like my sister's age. She's like in college, right?
Yeah.
And she's around just like a bunch of communists or socialists, and I'm like, how is this a thing? Like,
how is it a thing? Yeah.
If they were listening to this live stream right now, they'd be yelling and screaming, "How dare you talk shit about communism?"
You don't understand. Communism has never been created. We're only attempting it. That's the usual go-to. They'll say, well, Soviet Russia wasn't communist. It turned out that it was, shut up.
Yeah, but
communist.
Capitalism has failed already, even though we're still living in a capitalist society.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, right? We're all living in a capitalist society, and these guys are trying to create communism, and every time they create, they fail. People end up eating rats. They end up starving, like in Venezuela. They end up getting shot by their government, like in North Korea. They end up getting sent to a gulag, like in Russia. It's always one thing or the other, right? It's always some failure, some point of failure. It's corruption, nonstop corruption. Because you know what? Humans are not compatible with communism. We're not.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what is compatible with communism. Helicopters.
Oh, yeah. Push them off. Throw them into the river.
Yeah.
Or into the ocean.
I'm like only half joking when I say that, but honestly, would you, if you had a choice between keeping the planet, maybe not the planet, but like keeping humanity intact and making sure that we all elevate ourselves to the point where we can reach the stars, right? We want to go to Mars and beyond Mars. Do we want that future, or do you want a future where we're all starving to death and eating rats just to stay alive? Like, the choice to me is pretty simple, and communism is the latter. Communism promises that we will all starve to death, that we will tear each other apart in anarchy and in sectarian warfare, because we all got these ideas and who gets what, who are the haves and the have-nots. That's communism. It doesn't work. Stop trying it. You try it, well, if you get shot, I'm going to celebrate.
Yeah, that's why, like, the anarcho-communists just drive me insane, because I'm like, your whole theory doesn't make any sense, and it's never going to work, but then they think that we're weird.
Oh, yeah. Delusional, to say the least.
Yeah, that's the whole crowd, the rent is theft crowd. I can't deal with it. They're almost as bad as
rent is theft. It's one thing to say taxation is theft. That's the libertarian crowd. And you know what? There's truth there. But then rent is theft? Really? What? How?
It's like I'm giving money to someone voluntarily so that I can live here, but that's theft? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to sign a fucking huge-ass long book of pieces of paper to sign.
Your consent. You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to initial every page. You're consenting on every single page to every single thing that you're reading. So it's like, how is that?
Yeah, you're consenting. You don't have to agree to it if you don't want to. You can say, no, I choose to live in a cheaper place. But, oh, you chose to live in Brooklyn. Okay, yeah. All right.
Brooklyn, yeah.
These people, they think rent is theft because the landowners don't deserve the land that they own or something like that.
Yeah.
What do they think a communist society would look like? Do they think they'd be living in mansions? Do they really actually think that? No, they'd be delegated, right? Shoved into a government housing situation, a crappy apartment, one that's worse than the one they're currently living in and paying for. We'd
all be living in the projects.
Yep, every single person on earth would be living in the projects. Great, because it's communism. It's all pragmatic and everybody's equally miserable. That's what communism offers. Do not say yes to communism. Say no to it.
That's basically the gist of it. Everyone equally miserable. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of equally miserable, what's your favorite Asian food?
What?
Chinese chicken rice.
Oh, that's so good.
That sounds
I've
Oh,
had
good.
that
yes.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Hainanese chicken rice in particular. Oh, it's so good. It's boiled chicken, right? It's boiled chicken, and the rice is cooked in chicken stock,
Yeah.
and there's like a really hot sauce, the stuff that's gonna make you vomit blood. Well, maybe not vomit blood, but it's super hot, right? And then there's ginger. It's all mashed up, and you eat it, and it's just delicious. Just the best food in the world. I eat that like several times a week. Honestly, it's just so good.
Now I'm craving that. I used to, yeah, when I lived in Thailand, I ate that all the time. You know what? I should make that.
Yeah, you should.
I don't know why I haven't made that yet. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And there's different recipes, so you want to experiment. Try to get the one that's closest to your experience in Thailand.
Is there any Malaysian specific food that you enjoy?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of Malay food that I really like here. Yeah, Malay food's delicious. There's beef rendang, which is a type of I don't know. You have to look it up. It's like a broth-ish thing, right? It's beef, and then there's like it's really spicy. It's a lot of chilies in it. That's one of them. I would say, yeah, I would say beef rendang. There's also ayam penyet, which is basically chicken, right? It's a not a fried chicken, more like I suppose grilled chicken would explain it, with rice, and then they sort of smush it. They press it down, right? They clamp it down so it's all wide and spread, and then you eat that with paste. And the paste. Okay, paste is so generic. It's a shrimp paste. Yeah, shrimp and chili paste with lime. Yeah, delicious.
Sounds really good.
It's really delicious.
Now I'm like hungry. That's great. What's the weirdest food, I guess, by like Western standards? What's the weirdest food that you guys have in your country?
The weirdest food that we have in my country, it would probably be like fish head. Yeah, fish head.
Okay. Some people get freaked out by that, but that doesn't freak me out at all. So
I don't like it. I hate it. I'd never touch this stuff. I don't like fish head, right? I'll eat fish, but not fish head. My dad likes it, though.
It doesn't bother me. I've had it before, but like
The eyeball.
it's funny because we had a
Yeah, the
family
eyeball.
reunion, right? And then the family reunion on my Asian side of my family, like some of them are like married to like white people, and then all the white people were like, "Ugh, why do we have to eat this?"
My favorite thing is taking white people around to like a Chinese restaurant, and they see all the ducks hanging, by their necks, right? And they're all like completely boiled already, right? They're already roasted ducks, and they freak out about that. They're like, "Ugh."
I don't know. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, it sounds good to me. I mean, you got to look at your food. I mean, what is this? I think Westerners, not all Westerners, obviously, Texans don't have a problem with this because you guys hunt boar. You shoot boar and you eat it. But people from like I don't know Brooklyn, they've never seen a dead animal before, like one that's meant to be eaten, right? They've never seen that. They just see it prepared on a plate. That's all they see. They don't see it hanging from a meat hook. It's weird to them. But I think it really depends on where you are in the West. I mean, if you're Italian, then you're pretty much used to it because they hang, pork, right? Pork slabs and stuff from the meat hooks in their restaurants. So that's pretty normal to them.
I feel like that's like mostly just an American thing where like you're not used to seeing either the whole animal, like a dead animal or whatever. They're just like used to processed food or food that's already been like portioned out or something.
Gotta have that syrup.
Yeah. Don't you know that food is grown in the supermarket?
I know, right?
Sometimes it seems like that. I mean, you can pretty much get anything you want.
They raise everything in the back of the store.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
Where is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Here, wait. Which one are we at?
That one right there.
Okay. So this one might be. I think we already know the answer to this because you kind of answered this already. But as far as like your mixed heritage, what ethnicity do you feel more like in tune with?
Honestly, it's weird. I'm not in tune of like my Portuguese heritage. I don't speak Portuguese. I'm not really in tune of my Chinese heritage either, right? Because I don't speak
you're
Chinese
just talking shit about them.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm talking shit about China. I'm not talking shit about the Chinese.
Yeah.
Right. People always mix it up. They think, oh, you're Chinese, so you're going to be pro-China. No, fuck no. You think people over here like the Chinese from China? No, we think they're scumbags. We really do. Can't trust them. I would say I feel Eurasian, if anything. I feel Eurasian. I guess you would say HAPA. Yeah. I feel like HAPA is like my heritage. I relate more to HAPA people and HAPA culture. It is a culture. It is a distinct culture over here. So, yeah, relate more to that than anything else. Because it's very westernized. We were, part of the British Empire. My great granddad was like an OBE in the British Empire. He was an architect. So yeah, I relate more to that than anything else.
I think you're lucky because, like, I feel like when I was in Asia, I felt, even though I couldn't speak the language, I still felt better over there than here. I don't know. Like, it's weird because some people will look at me and think I'm full white, and some people will look at me and think I'm full Asian. But then I feel, even though I don't speak an Asian language like fluently, I still feel comfortable around Asians, or at least like when I was growing up, I went to a Korean church, and like most of my friends were Asian and or half Asian. So I don't know if that's just
this is how you know that you're not like full Asian or whatever. When you go to a Chinese, like an actual Chinese restaurant, and you go to sit down and they ask you for if you want a fork.
I know.
They don't ask me that. They'll just give me chopsticks. Yeah. Like I don't get confused for other ethnicities. Fortunately, I used to be. Yeah. But now it's like, they don't. I think people are more, I wouldn't say progressive, but they're more open to the idea that other people can be Chinese too, despite not looking 100%.
That's probably good because, like, the other day we went to a Chinese restaurant and they like looked us up and down and they're like,
"Oh God,
you want a
fork?" Like, no, I'll use my hands, thanks.
We're like, no, we're good with chopsticks, thanks. We're kind of insulted, but thanks.
So what's the deal with Koreans using metal chopsticks? What the hell is up with that?
He doesn't. He can't use metal chopsticks.
I can't use them. Yeah.
Metal chopsticks are the dumbest thing. Okay, I'm sorry, but like,
how dare you make half? How dare you make fun of my half?
I'm sorry, but I grew up around a lot of Korean people. Okay, and they always gave me metal chopsticks, and I'm like, this is the dumbest idea ever because it doesn't grip anything.
Because they want that feeling of hearing the chopsticks going ding ding.
Yeah, but it's terrible. It's hard to grip anything. It's uncomfortable. Your hands feel cold after a while. You'll develop a cramp in your thumb and your index finger. It's terrible. It's just stop that. Just stop it. Stop it. Just give me bamboo.
Yeah, and a lot of the times those chopsticks are like kind of flat, so it's even harder to use.
Yeah. They're not as big as like the wooden chopsticks, right? Or the bamboo chopsticks, which are big enough that you can grip anything with it.
The Korean chopsticks are not as big, huh?
It's only the Koreans who do that. I'm serious.
Yeah, only the Koreans. So the Japanese don't do it. The Chinese don't do it. The Japanese are smart. They have the pre-made chopsticks, right? You just split them in half. Yeah.
Yeah,
because we Koreans are sophisticated, all right? You got to do it with the program.
Stainless steel. Yeah. Stainless steel chopsticks.
Yeah.
Now that you said that, I'm going to buy you a pair of metal chopsticks, and that's all you can use to eat. That's it. Good luck.
Great.
Even plastic chopsticks are fine. The Chinese plastic chopsticks, very easy to use. Exactly the same as wooden chopsticks, just, plastic.
We have some of those. We have some wooden chopsticks.
Well, we used to have the plastic ones, and then we replaced them with all the bamboo ones.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Bamboo's good, yeah. Ever tried porcelain? Hard to use. I don't recommend
chopsticks. That sounds bad as the metal ones.
Oh, they're really bad. Yeah, I was using some for a while. I bought some. I was like, oh, it's from Korea, by the way. That's why it's like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it fell.
Making my half look bad. God damn it!
It fell, right? It fell and it shattered. Thanks a lot. Expensive, stupid porcelain chopsticks. No, thank you. Not even once.
Well, okay. Remind me not to try that because first of all, it's hard to grip. Second of all, I think I would probably break them.
Yeah, you'll break them very easily. The only thing that needs to be porcelain are like the spoons, right? Spoons can be porcelain. The plates, obviously, you don't want to use plastic plates. What the hell are you? Some kind of barbarian? Plastic plates.
Yeah, I do have like a little like English tea set, like with a cup, like a porcelain cup, and then like the plate and the
little tiny spoon.
Yeah, it's called a china. It's called a china.
Yeah. Porcelain's a good song by Moby.
I don't know that song.
I don't know that song either. What the hell? This is a weird reference.
I know, right? Good job of making a reference that none of us understand.
That's right. I feel old now. All right. Anyway, so one more question, and we've been asking pretty much the whole HAPA month, been asking some pretty crazy and really hard questions. So
yeah, this is going to be a very difficult question.
Oh, before you ask the final question, I just want to say that all Eurasian women look alike, don't they? They have this certain look to them. I mean, you can relate. You're an Eurasian woman.
I feel when people say that, I feel flattered because then they were comparing me to like roaming millennial, and I'm like, how do I get in this category?
And Chloe Bennett, she Agents of Shield. I mean,
yeah.
You have that look. You have that specific look that's like, oh yeah, you're half Asian. You can tell. It doesn't even matter if you're like half Chinese or half Korean or half Japanese. There's always that look, right? It's a nice look. It's a good thing.
It is a nice look.
Why are you smiling at me like that?
Well, you can see what I'm. Anyway, So yeah. For the last question.
Very serious.
Yeah, very serious. So, for your toilet paper, do you like to have it over or under?
Over, obviously.
Oh.
See.
Yeah.
He knows the right.
What kind of cannibal? What kind of savage uses under? Like, the thing will get caught, right? It will get caught if you put it under. And how are you going to pull it out if it, if you have to roll it over if it's too short? No, you make it over. That's what it's designed for. You just pull it down. Boom. You don't have to pull it through the underside. That's terrible.
I'm glad that you're civilized like us.
And also, if you get those pre-made rolls, the pre-made rolls that come in like a big plastic box, that you'll find it in like a commercial toilet, right? Like, I don't mean at home. You can't buy this stuff at home.
The sink?
No. I'm not talking about the sink.
Where did that come from?
He mentioned the sink. Someone used the sink.
No, let's say you go to a mall and you take a shit in there, right? And they have those plastic things. They're all over. Think about that. Why is it that the industrial design uses over? Because it's more efficient.
Yeah. Yeah, I never understood the under either. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. Like, I want to know who the first person to do that was. Man, you know what? I'm gonna be a rebel under this time. Fuck the overs. So
clogged up.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, actually, one more question, and this is also very important. Pineapple on pizza? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yay!
Best. Yeah, I like pineapple on pizza. What can I say? I also like anchovies, tuna on pizza. Yeah, I'll take it.
I've had
Hawaiian pizza, the best.
Nice.
So what's your limit for things on pizza? Will you take peaches on pizza, apples on pizza?
Apples probably not, but peaches I could see taking peaches, yeah, but not apples. Hell no. It's too sharp. The taste is too sharp.
Mm. We've had potatoes.
Oh yeah, we had potatoes and it was pretty good. Yeah. I was surprised.
I've never tried potatoes, but I'm trying to imagine it. I can't really.
Now I bet people in the chat are going to be like, "Wow."
That was his most controversial statement. Him liking pineapple on pizza and over.
I know, but I'm so glad because you're like one of the few people who have told us this month that they agree with pineapple on pizza. So thank you for that.
What's wrong with pineapple and pizza? It's delicious.
Exactly.
Team pineapple.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, that's it. And
wonderful being on.
Yeah. Thanks again, Ian.
Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah. Anytime. Oh, and visit my my YouTube channel. I appreciate the subs because I have videos coming out every day. It's a Hype Break, and you can just go to hypebreak.tv.
We have that in the description box below.
I'll just call it Hop Break because I call
Hop Break. Yeah, Hop Break.
Way to butcher that name.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no problem.
Invite me on anytime.
All right.
Have a good night.
Night.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Peace.